put my hair everywhere. Hello everybody and welcome to the Football Philosophy channel. It's West Ham in the Cup, kicking off in about an hour's time. I've only just found out in the last 20 minutes it's on BBC One tonight, and I've been telling people today that it's on BT. I think most of the other games are on BT and it's actually on BBC One, so it's free to air. Everybody can watch it tonight, which is good news. Newspapers, as I always look at, Manchester Evening News, I found one of the reporters there has said Henderson in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire and Shaw. This is obviously a guest line-up by the Evening News. It's not the actual line-up, which will be out very shortly. We're a touch late today, but they've gone with McTominay and Matic in the Evening News, with Van der Beek at number 10. I thought that was interesting. And Rashford, Cavani and Dan James, believe it or not, the Evening News have said. The Daily Express have said Henderson, Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Axel and Telles. I'll be very surprised if he, after the lesson we got, hopefully the manager learned his lesson against Sheffield United for making 2 minutes. Is the team out?
Team's out, yeah. Henderson in goal.
Yeah.
Lindelof and Maguire.
Yeah. Yeah.
Telles.
Yeah.
And Bissaka.
Yeah.
Midfield, Fred and Matic.
Right, Fred and Matic, right.
Van der Beek.
VDB,
Bruno
right.
gets a rest.
Right.
And then Rashford, Greenwood and Martial.
Rashford, Greenwood and Martial. Right.
Substitutes bench, Grant, Shaw, Twanzebe, Williams, Fernandes, James, McTominay, Ahmad into the bench,
right.
And Cavani.
No one matter again.
No one matter.
Right. Henderson, Wan-Bissaka. I was just finishing off before with the Manchester Evening News predicted lineup, and I just actually said that they've said Van der Beek at number 10, more or less, which they did say that. Whereas none of the other papers had Van der Beek in that role. A couple of them had him in, but more as a midfield player. But with Fred and Matic in the team, it looks pretty much like Van der Beek will be in a number 10 role tonight, which I think, for me, that's his best position. Rashford and Greenwood on the flanks, Martial up top. I would have liked Cavani to have played. I would have liked obviously Martial deserves his game and needs a game. He didn't get on at the weekend even, but I would have liked him to have played on the flank really with Cavani up top. But there you go, that's the team. Henderson, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire and Telles. I think that's what you said, isn't it? Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire and Telles.
Yes.
Fred and Matic, Van der Beek, Rashford, Martial and Greenwood. I'm a little bit surprised to see Telles start. I was just actually saying as the team news came out there that I was hoping he'd learned his lesson about his back four being vital, that you keep it as strong as possible. And I know it's a cup tie. It's okay saying it's a cup tie. Rashford starting again, Greenwood starting again, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire. So there's no point saying he's resting everybody or everybody needs a rest. So I am a little bit surprised to see Shaw not starting. I would have thought he'd have learnt his lesson from that Sheffield United game. I hope Telles has a decent game. Obviously, I want us to get through. Desperate for us to get through. Just as it's not a side. I was about to say a little bit of a side issue. It's not really a side issue. What I'm going to mention. I noticed there was a fair-sized crowd in at the Super Bowl at the weekend, and they've had it pretty bad. Well, they have had it bad in the States with COVID. So we're only in early to mid-February. The FA Cup finals in May. I'm barking up the wrong tree, hoping that there might be fans in the stadium. Come the end of May, the middle of May, whenever it is. If they've got crowds in now in the States, I mean, they've had it worse than us, haven't they? Why can't we have crowds in May? So, I'd love us to get there. We've not been in the FA Cup final for a few years now, was it? Palace the last time. So I'm desperate for crowds to be there and desperate for us to stay in it tonight and actually get to the final. What a treat it had been made to be able to go to an FA Cup final. Probably one thing or the other. Sod's law, probably one thing or the other will happen. There'll probably be crowds there and United are not in it, or United will be in it and there'll be no crowds there. It'll be probably one thing or the other. Any questions yet?
Red Olsen says, I don't understand Greenwood and Rashford playing in this. It's not like they've pulled up any trees.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think they. I've rewatched that game again. There's a few people giving me grief today. I don't know if you've seen it. Quite a lot of dislikes, thumbs down, did he call it, on me rating the ratings. I get that. I do get that because people don't like it. But all I've done is point out some of the problems that we had, and I didn't say much about Mark because I don't think he played particularly well. But in me rating the ratings show, Mason Greenwood got an 8 in the Evening News, and I marked him down to a 6. I've rewatched the game. There's too many errors. Look, I'm sorry, and I'm not making them up. I'm pointing them out. All I'm doing is pointing out. If that upsets you, anybody who might have said, who give me a dislike, if you like, on me rating the ratings show, and there's a few comments in there saying what you're talking about, you should get this or you should get that. Look, all I'm doing is pointing out what people don't see or what people don't want to see. Like him losing the ball. It was him who lost the ball, lost it poorly when Dina ran through and hit the post. And the one where Mason ran through it and he should have crossed it, well, not really crossed it, he could have just squared it across the box, but he shot. And not when you shoot, when you make the wrong decision, you can sort of get away with it if you hit a shot well. You know, maybe, well, score if you score, obviously, but even if you may force a good save or maybe you clip the post or something like that, you sort of get away with it. But he chooses the wrong option and then scuffs it and it trickles out for a goal kick somewhere near the corner flag.
Yeah.
How is that playing well? I mean, it's only one incident, I do get that, but, you know, he loses the ball too often and gives it away too often. And to me, you know, I think a 6, a decent one. I think I give him a 6, which is decent to above average, and I think that was fine for him, and I stick by it. And there's people on there saying, "What are you talking about?"
As I've heard you say countless times before, when you're watching the game, it's because of your emotions. It's very difficult to remain objective.
Great point.
Difficult.
Most of these people that are moaning at me, I've only watched it once live,
as
and that's
you watch
it.
it again and again and again, that subjectivity slides away and objectivity takes over.
Yeah.
And most people who are making comments haven't had the benefit of watching it multiple times.
Watching it again and watch carefully.
Yeah.
Watch carefully what happens. Don't be, you know, I don't know, answering your phone and drinking your tea and not looking at the screen. Watch what happens. Or maybe if you've got it on screen and you have had a go at me about what I gave Mason, watch it again and just watch Mason carefully and watch the errors that he makes. He makes a few too many errors for me to be given an 8 that the Evening News gave him. Well, he definitely does.
Thomas Omar gutted no James.
Yeah, I thought Dan James might have got a run. I thought Juan Mata's not even. He wasn't on the bench. But weekend Juan, I wonder if we've seen the last of Juan. Has he just eased him out now? Is that it?
I don't know what's going on.
Has he got an injury or something?
It's a sad state of affairs, is what it is.
Yeah.
Such quality.
Absolute.
So
what a footballer. What a footballer.
Ageist.
Yeah.
And yet it doesn't seem to matter with Cavani.
Yeah.
He's young enough.
Yeah. Nice to see Matic get a game tonight, by the way.
Yeah, definitely.
Is it? Oh, it's Fred and Matic, isn't it? I thought
Fred
it might have been
Matic.
McTominay and Matic, but it's Fred and Matic.
James Gleeson, hi Ricky, what are your thoughts on Declan Rice as we've recently been linked with him?
What I've seen of him, he looks an absolute quality player. In fact, have you got the West Ham line up there while we're talking about Declan Rice? Yeah, I do think he looks a great player, Declan Rice. I really do. But everybody talks about Rice, and he's a youngster who's come through. I think he's come through the ranks there, has he, or has he not come through it? But even so, he's been with West Ham from being a young lad, and we all already know him this well. But he's got a great partnership with Souček.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure how old Souček is. Maybe he's a bit too old and we wouldn't really be interested in him. But when I watch West Ham play, I'm equally impressed by both Declan Rice and Souček. The top quality players. Are they both playing tonight?
Both playing tonight.
So
the West Ham team, Fabianski, Kufal, Dawson, Agbonner and Cresswell.
Right.
Rice, Noble, Souček, Fornals, Bowen and Yarmolenko.
Fornals, Bowen and Yarmolenko. No Antonio, no?
No Antonio.
He's a big loss for him.
Yeah.
But they've got Rice and Souček. They've got Bowen, Fornals. Who else did you say? Bowen, Fornals, Yarmolenko. I'm missing one there.
Rice, Noble.
Noble's playing, is he? Right.
Yeah.
Right. So they've got 3 in midfield.
Correct.
They've got 3 in midfield.
Well, we've got 5 in midfield.
5 in midfield. Yeah, got
Don't
3.
you
Fall into that trap. Yeah, they've got 3 in central midfield. It's dead interesting that, because obviously I'm pretty certain Bowen will play wide right, and Fornals and Yarmolenko, I nearly always see him play on the left. So one of them's going to be playing as a forward, I imagine, for Nals and Yarmolenko. Have you still got it up? Sorry to mind you. Is Antonio on the bench by any chance?
No, he isn't.
Not on the bench, right?
No.
Well, they're a bit powder puff up front then, they should be, so hopefully that gives us a better chance.
Sonny says early thoughts on Diallo. It's too early for any thoughts.
I've not seen him. I've seen one clip of him crossing the ball. There's one clip of him crossing the ball, and somebody on Twitter said, "Got to get this lad in the first team," and it was just a good cross that anybody could have put in. Obviously, the person might have seen a lot more of him, but just going off the one cross on one clip is nothing short of ridiculous.
Billy Shabir just hope Greenwood and Rashford try to pass more. And not be greedy and shoot. Their IQ is not the best.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Hope they pass it today.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. Keane, Quinn, people think our players are better than they are and can't take any negativity against them.
Yeah, exactly. I'm getting absolute dog's abuse for just pointing a few things out that people are doing wrong and they don't like it. I mean, Van der Beek's playing at 10 tonight with Marshall at 9. I think they'll link up well together. I really do. But you know, if Rashford and Green... Look, it's a team game. You need all the players to be playing well. You need to all be on the same wavelength. If Rashford and Greenwood are shooting too often and not getting the crosses in and not getting the passes in, it's, you know, the players who are playing well, it's difficult for them. They can't make an impact on their own. And what a lot of people, and I mean a hell of a lot of people, have got difficulty with, when you watch a team that's playing poorly, it's difficult to spot which players are playing well. If they're all playing averagely, it's difficult to spot the ones that are playing really well, and it just becomes all of a hodgepodge, if you like, all a bit of a mess. And sometimes the people who are just getting the ball down on the floor and passing it simple and keeping you in possession, it goes over people's heads that they're the ones that are making the team gel and play. You know, even if they're playing badly, they're playing to a certain standard, and you know, and they're the players that are doing the simple things right are the ones that are making you play as well as you can play, which even if it's poor, it's the other players that are not doing the simple things right that are dragging that performance down. That's the way I see it.
JD has put, don't worry about the dislikes, interaction in any way is still good for the YouTube algorithm.
Is that right? Who's saying that?
I've got no idea if it's right. JD has put it.
Thank you, JD.
There's a few people here asking, Sam123 is asking, why do you hate Bruno? Ricky, just admit you hate Bruno.
Just admit you hate it.
It's difficult for people to understand that there is no attachment between the footballing ability and the person.
Yeah.
If you just took Bruno's footballing ability and give it to Marshall, and Marshall's footballing ability and give it to Bruno, his decision making, you'd hate Marshall and like Bruno. It's nothing to do with the person.
You just said I hate Bruno. Don't hate him.
Not hate Bruno, excuse me.
Don't hate him in any way, shape or form.
It's a fondness. It's an appreciation of the way that they play the game.
I was thinking about this before. One of the things that was mentioned, you always say this about him, and yet you're always saying, look, the thing is, footballers in general have got a certain credentials, if you like. I can't think of a better word. Attributes, and they've also got certain things in the makeup that are not so clever, and they tend to play like that. You know, let's try and think of an example. Like, I don't know, like Luke Shaw. He's particularly good at controlling the ball on the left flank and then passing it. He sees somebody in field, so this is an attribute that he's got. And he passes it in field well. He seems to be able to look up the line and see a pass in field and suddenly fire. So that's something that he can do well. And I see him do it well virtually every time he plays. Now, if I can think of a negative thing for somebody, I don't think Wan-Bissaka's heading's very good. I think he sometimes jumps into the ball a bit too early, and he seems to catch it with the top part of his head rather than his forehead. He's not coordinated when he's heading it. So I'm just picking two little things there just to try and explain. So a little thing that Wan-Bissaka doesn't do well, and I see him do it not well virtually every time he plays. A little thing that I've mentioned that Luke Shaw does well, he seems to do it well every time he plays. So it's obvious when you think about that about the whole team that I'm still going to see the people doing the wrong things that they do wrong all the time, and the things that people do well all the time. Now, I'm not talking about special moments, people can score great goals. I mean, Martial's been getting grief for not scoring enough goals, which it might be fair enough. But I have seen him score some great goals, some fantastic goals. And so when Martial scores a fantastic goal, I'm not going to bang on. Well, I probably will bang on about Martial having scored a fantastic goal, but it's his general all-round play. You know, he gets hold of the ball well. I like the fact that he plays with his head up. When he dribbles it, he keeps it close to his feet. Of course he's going to lose it occasionally. Of course he is. But some of our players lose it too easily, the attacking players. The close control's not good enough. They get it too far out of the feet. Marcus has it too far out of his feet far too often and loses it too easily. You are going to lose it, but don't lose it easily. Don't make it easy for them. And I think that's what Marcus does, and I see that every time he plays. So when people say to me, you always say that about him, well, it always happens. That's why it virtually always happens.
Yeah.
And Martial virtually always plays well with his back to the goal, virtually always kills it well, virtually always shows good strength to hold people off, and virtually always passes it well, picks a good option. So yes, I do see the same things virtually every time the players play. Simple as that. That's why I always say the same things about the same players.
Well, this is the thing, is it? That those moments, the special moment, goals or assists for attackers, for defenders, they tend to be negative things. It's like mistakes that you make at the back and you end up getting overly criticised. But those things, those moments, they make up such a small percentage of a player's contribution to a game.
Yeah.
So the majority of the things that you do as a footballer is stand in the right position, mark your man, be aware of the pass, make yourself available, control it, decide where to pass it well. That's the vast majority of the things.
Vast majority of the game.
Pitch. Like 99% of the things.
So get all them things right.
Get all them things right. Forget about the fantastic
if
moments
you can score
that you have
if you can score a fantastic goal or play a fantastic pass, that's great. That's great. But if you're gonna get so many little things wrong, if everybody gets all the little things right, this is how the best teams are built. It's how the best teams are built. It's how City are playing. They might have special moments, but if you think about a lot of City's goals, a lot of them are from nice little passes inside the full back and somebody squares it across and somebody's running into the box, and like Gundogan's goal at the weekend and he smashes it in the roof of the net from 8 yards out. It's a great chance that's been created by 2 or 3 passes, not one brilliant pass. And that's what I want us to do. I want us to start getting the simple things right, playing loads of passes, making situations appear where we've got the chance to make a chance and score goals like that. And I'm a great believer in the team playing well and everybody making sure they get the little things right and getting the simple things right time after time after time will develop into you getting goal scoring chances, in the team getting goal scoring chances. From what I saw at the weekend, both Marcus and Mason are both playing tonight, and to me at the weekend, despite everybody raving about them against Everton, there's still too many errors where I can wear errors fine, but I don't like people making wrong decisions and making errors where there's no pressure. There doesn't need to be an error.
Unforced errors.
Unforced errors, like they call it in tennis. I said this once before and people said, oh, he's talking about tennis now, what's he on about? I'm just borrowing a phrase from tennis. In tennis, they call it, if you hit a ball back and then the next person should hit it back and it's not a difficult ball, it's just there to be hit, and they hit it into the net or they hit it wide, it's called they call it an unforced error. That's what I want us to rule out of our football. Unforced errors. Don't give it away cheaply when there's no pressure on you and you've got time. Don't miscontrol it. Don't give it away cheaply, and don't make bad decisions.
Rick the Red USA said, Rick, are you sure it's good for your health to watch the matches over and over again?
Probably not, no. If you, where about, are you actually in the USA, or have you made that up? And if you are, where are you?
See if they come back in the comment. Apologies, by the way. I fell right behind here while we've been talking.
Yeah, but I went off at a tangent there, didn't I?
So I'm just going to have to skip down to the bottom and try and catch up.
Yeah, sorry about that. You can't keep up with it. I can't get the staff.
Ricky, are you happy with the spine of the team? Matic, Van der Beek, Marshall.
Very happy with that. Yeah. Yeah, Matic, Van de Beek. You look, our centre-backs are getting too much grief. I promise you this. I've said this today. They're getting too much grief. The team shape was poor. All right, we've just spoke about single individual errors. I said on my show, the rating show, I think I said it on. You know, if you're playing further forward in the team, you can get away with 10, 12, 14, 15 errors. And probably half of them seriously poor errors. You know, as a defender, you can't get away with one poor error. Or two perhaps. So the centre backs are getting absolute dog's abuse, and the forwards are getting lauded. And I don't think I don't think some of the forwards played as well as some of the defenders. Because I'm not having it that you've played well if you give the ball away cheap 5 or 8 times. So, you know, I think the defenders are, you know, the team shape needs to be better. We need to look after the ball better. So, looking at the spine, and that's what we used to do in the old days, the centre back, centre mid, and your centre forward. So, Lindelof and Maguire, Matic, Van de Beek, and Marshall. I'm very happy with that spine. Very happy with it.
Super chat from I'm Blue Dabba Dee Dabba Da. Saying, I don't know if it's not I'm a blue.
I'm a blue.
Hi Ricky, do you think that Lindelof, Bailey and Tuanzebe have been scapegoats for the faults that Maguire makes?
Ooh. Well, I don't know about Lindelof. Lindelof plays virtually every time he's fit, doesn't he? Tuanzebe and Bailey, no, I don't think they've been scapegoats. No, I really don't. I think I need to see a little bit more of Axel. He had that great game in Paris, which everybody raved about. I watched the game, I loved it, and I thought he had a fine game, and he's playing against great players. But I don't think he's been look, he played that well. It's difficult to be as good as that, but I don't think he's been anywhere near that level in the games that I've seen him have since. I really don't. And Bailey for me is a bit too erratic as well. I've always said that. So I don't think they're scapegoats for other people's errors. I think they, in my opinion, well, let's put it this way. It is a fact. It's an absolute rock solid fact that they're well behind Maguire and Lindelof in Ollie's pecking order. Well behind. You know, if we've got a big game tomorrow, you could put your house on the two centre backs being Maguire and Lindelof. You know what he's going to pick. So they're well behind Maguire and Lindelof in Ollie's mind. And this is what I'm saying now. I don't agree with everything that he says or all his selections, but I do believe he's got that bit right. So I don't think they're being scapegoated. I think Maguire and Lindelof are our best two centre backs. Look, obviously they're not Stam and Jonsson. They're not Pallister and Bruce. You know, they're not Rio and Vidic. But they are the best we've got at the minute, and they're well behind the quality that I've just spoken about that we've had in the past. But they are the best we've got, and they're not too bad.
This won't go down too well with a lot of people, but obviously when it comes to grading a player, and people talk, I see people put this on Twitter all the time about, he's our best player. He's our best player.
Oh, I hate that comment. I hate that comment.
Best player.
It's always a forward. It's always somebody who can score some goals.
The only way to judge you.
If we had Yap Stam at centre half, trust me, none of our forwards would be our best player.
Yeah,
nothing like. If we had Roy Keane in holding midfield, none of our forwards would be our best player. Yeah. Whenever somebody says he's our best player, it's always someone who's scoring a few goals, isn't it?
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
It's childish. It really is. It really is. The only way that you can actually use that term is if the basis for it is which player in your team performs his role most effectively.
Correct.
That has to be the way to do it.
Yeah. So Luke Shaw's up there for certain.
And this is what I was just about to say. Lindelof and Maguire, despite getting a lot of criticism lately, they perform their jobs much better than some of the other players in our team perform theirs.
I agree.
Much better.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Which makes them down the pecking order when it comes to who you need to replace, which is why your emphasis is on the front six so often.
Yeah.
That's where there's room for improvement. And it's within our control to improve it in the squad that we've got currently. We don't need to go and spend 60 million quid on Upamecano or whatever it is that people are talking about. You've got the capability to improve your starting 11 in your front six, in your squad right now.
Yeah.
No money spending
and
necessary.
Then we'll start conceding less goals.
Then you'll start conceding less goals, and then there might not be the need to go and spend 80 million quid on another
100%. The team shape needs to be better, and we have got it. The team shape tonight, I'm not happy with it. I'm happy Marshall's playing. I'm happy Van de Beek's getting a game. I'm happy Matic is playing. It's a little bit like I'm getting my excuses in already. But Rashford and Greenwood, I say it all the time.
Yeah.
You know, we said before the game on Saturday, didn't we, that we're not happy with this. It's got, you know,
we're playing two number nines on the right.
We've got two number nines on the flanks. They've got a forwards mentality. Anybody who saw the clip about their equalising goal that I put on Twitter, and I think we put it on YouTube. Oh, we can't put the footage on YouTube, can we? But when De Gea is kicking the ball long towards Cavani, and then Keane beats him in the air and heads it back, you can see, and I've pointed it out on Twitter, that they've got three men in midfield, and those players know that the ball's going to come back. They don't know. Cavani might win it. They know there's a great chance that the ball's going to come back this way. Centre-backs, more often than the forwards win it, the centre-backs tend to win headers and head it back where it's come from. So our players should have known that the ball was coming back into that area. It came to Sigurdsson, and Sigurdsson flicked it off to whoever got fouled, and from that free kick they scored their equaliser. Now when De Gea's kicking that long ball, you can look at the screen, and I think I've paused it on Twitter, on the clip that I've put on Twitter. You can see that we've only got two in midfield positions. Rashford's too far forward, Bruno's too far forward, and by this stage Greenwood's gone off, and Wan-Bissaka's too far forward. You couldn't make that up. Wan-Bissaka's too far forward when De Gea's kicking the ball. So we're the team who are winning. We're defending a 1-goal lead in the 94th minute of a game, and we haven't got enough players in midfield. They've got three, and look at it. You can see it easily. They've got three and they've got two. And I can understand during the course of a game, sometimes you've chased a ball or whatever happens for different reasons, that you're not really in the right position and you're trying to get back. That can happen during the course of a game. In this instance, we're taking a free kick. You've got all the time in the world to be in the position that you want to be in. And when De Gea takes that kick, we've not got enough players in midfield, and we've got too many players forward of the ball. Just look at, when I speak about the natural instinct, and I get people saying to me, they do get back, they do chase back, and I often say, they're not often back enough, just waiting for the ball to come.
It's reactive.
Yeah, this is an absolute perfect example of that. And look, Marcus couldn't have done anything about this, so I'm not having to go at Marcus in that respect. I'm just explaining what I expect from my wide midfield players and all my midfield players. When De Gea kicks that ball, have a look at the screen. It goes over the midfield towards Cavani and their defenders. And as it goes over the midfield, you can see Iwobi free, and you can see Marcus 5 or 8 yards in front of him. Marcus should be behind Iwobi. We need to have players in them positions who have got it in their mind that they're going to stop them getting the ball. And when you've got attack-minded players, and in this instance, by the way, there's seconds left and we're leading. We're not going to get time for another attack. All we need to do is keep the ball in their half. You know, if you wanted to argue back to me, he's a forward, we want him there, we want him to try and get the ball, and we want him to try and score another goal. There's no time for that in this game. There's no time for that. You need players who have got the mindset that they're going to be in position, waiting for the ball to come. And when De Gea takes that kick and kicks it long, Wan-Bissaka, Bruno and Marcus Rashford are too far forward. Even as he kicks the ball, they should all be 10 yards back. And then if those three players are 10 yards deeper, and you know this is going to happen, if you've played football, you know that this is likely to happen. He's going to head it back this way, so you just wait. You need to be there waiting, not turning and chasing it when he heads it, which is what happens, and you can see it on the screen. So this is what I'm on about. You need players who have got that defensive mentality.
It's not just a defensive mentality, is it?
It's sensible.
It's actually understanding what the situation...
Yeah.
Particularly in this instance, where you've got... particularly in this instance, where you've got... particularly in this instance, where you're leading the game and you're trying to protect the lead. It's different if it's in the first 10 minutes and it's 0-0. But in this situation, you would at least need to recognise the situation and what is required in the situation. Think of it holistically as a team. Yeah. As a team right now, the most important thing
is that we stop them.
Is that they don't have an easy ride coming and attacking us on the return from this. So at least appreciate the situation right now and get into a position that makes it difficult for them to attack you.
Yeah. It's fascinating when you think about it, because I mean, look, this is a little bit of a strange situation in that we're 1-up and we're in the 94th, 95th minute. Let's imagine it's in the 80th minute and it's 2-2. Are you not still better being in that situation where you're behind those players? Because when it gets headed back this way, you want to win that ball to go forward. If you're too far forward and they head it that way, their players have got more chance of going that way, which gives them more chance of scoring. But if you're behind those players, you've got a chance to beat them to that ball, and then we go forward. So it's a double-edged sword. So by being in that defensive position, it's just crazy. You've actually got more chance of scoring. You've got more chance of getting the ball and going forward. So you've got to, it's just absolutely crazy what goes on in the game. Let's get another question. Yeah. We've gone on enough. Let's get another question.
Sanji, Ricky, apart from the Premier League, what other leagues are you interested in?
I like watching Serie A. I love watching ex-players that I was fond of when they were at United. I love watching ex-United players. I think Ashley Young's still performing brilliantly. He's 35. We're too ageist in this country. Fed up of seeing people saying, oh, it's Serie A, it's too slow. It's not that much difference. It might not be quite as good a league, but there isn't that much difference. If the top teams in Serie A, Juventus, say, if they was to play City or Liverpool, they might get knocked out, but I wouldn't have my house on it. You know what I mean? If the third and fourth place teams in our league were to play, I don't know, say Roma or Sampdoria were to play Leicester, I wouldn't have my house on the outcome of that game. And it probably, look, I don't know the teams who were at the bottom of Serie A, but I'm sure if the teams at the bottom of Serie A were to play West Brom, think about it. If the teams near the bottom of the Serie A were to play, who've we got? West Brom. Fulham are doing great at the minute, actually. They're proper solid. Sheffield United.
How solid they are. If beat us.
If Sheffield United just beat us, fair enough. But if they were in Serie A, I'm pretty sure they'd be in the bottom three just like they are in our league. You know what I mean? Or the bottom four or whatever. There isn't that much difference. All the people who say there is, they're barking up the wrong tree. It might be a little bit better, but not much. So they're doing great. They're doing great. In a nutshell, these players who we let go, Matteo Darmian's getting plenty of time on the pitch for Inter Milan. They're playing regular for the team who was second in Serie A. Young's playing all the time. Lukaku's playing all the time. Darmian's getting some games. They'd be fine if they were playing for the team in the top six in England. At least the top six.
Aaron Dardy, Rick, I may not agree with it, but you like intelligent players like Mata, Van der Beek and Marshall, but I can't understand how Dan James fits into that category.
Yeah.
It's a slightly different argument with James. Your argument isn't that he's one of those intelligent players of that level, like a Van der Beek or a Mata or a Matic.
Yeah, he's not quite at that level intelligent-wise, but he's not as stupid as people make out. He's I see him take some nice touches and play some simple, quite simple passes. I've also seen him the way he gets the ball on the wing and then they banked up 2 against 1, and I see him check back and I see him running field 10 yards and then offload it at the right moment and all that. Look, there's a lot more to the game than people think, and some of the simple stuff that you see is perfectly fine. I see some of our players who play regular do the same thing, but sometimes not do it quite as well. As daft as it sounds, they're only little things, but even those little things, there's an absolute correct moment to release it rather than taking an extra touch. And I see some of our players just take an extra touch, or sometimes even fire it back too quick. I see. Watch for this tonight, and I'll be amazed if you don't see it. I see the defenders sometimes play the ball into Marcus. Watch for it. Try and concentrate when Marcus is on the wing, and he'll probably be on the left, I take it, and Luke passes it to him, or sometimes it comes at an angle from Maguire. I regularly see him hit it first time straight back. You might think this is nothing, but it is something. You're better if you take a touch. Just take a touch, and it just gives you a little bit more time to make sure that the ball back to that player is perfect to one side or the other, which gives him a better view of the game. And if you watch Martial, nearly every time Martial will take a touch. I don't know the exact percentages. I'm going to have a guess. I would say if a defender gives the ball to Martial when he's on the wing, I know we're speaking about Dan James, but Dan James probably falls in the middle. Martial, probably 70 or 80% of the time, takes a touch and then passes it. Marcus, I would say, he passes it straight back first time 50% of the time. And a lot of them times he should really take a touch and pass it. And I think Dan James doesn't do it as well as Marshall, but does do it a little bit better than Marcus does. And it's a simple little thing, but it does matter. Every simple little thing on a football pitch matters. You've got to start doing things right, and the whole team can play better.
One consequence of that, by the way, of taking that touch when you're playing with your back to goal, particularly in like a wide area where you come in, you know, you're inside forward and you drop in just inside their half, and you're accepting it into feet from your defenders. If you fire it straight back, obviously that's over in a second. If you take a touch, the purpose of moving the ball about is to try and get the opponents pulled about.
Correct.
You want to pull the opponents about to try and make some spaces for your teammates.
Correct.
If you just fire it back straight away,
it hasn't changed yet.
It's not changed yet.
Yeah,
You've got to take that touch, let the accept the defender into you, so you pulled him out of position. Don't let him get it off you, obviously, but feel out for him.
Yeah, and
then
pass
once
it back.
he's there, then roll it out, and you pulled him out of position.
And the defender, if you give it to, if Harry Maguire gives the ball into your feet, you fire it straight back at him. Well, sometimes it's dead heavy. He hasn't even got time to look at the pitch. He's concentrating on his touch. If you fire it back, it can be too heavy, so he's concentrating on getting it under, and he's not even surveying the pitch.
Yeah.
But if he gives it to you and you take a touch and pass it to him back with a little bit less weight on it, he's more relaxed. He's looking around the pitch. You can see what's moving, and like you've just said, because you've taken that touch, another second or two has elapsed, and the pitch changes. You know, your other players, like if Martial gives it back, let's say Rashford's playing at number 9 or number 11, or whether it's Cavani, he's made a move during that second, like you just said. So that if you just fired it straight back at him, the picture hasn't changed. You know, he's giving it to you. Usually, it's getting a bit deep this to be fair, but usually when a defender gives it to you, as often as not, you are his only option. So he wants more options. So if you take a touch and pass it back to him, by the time you've taken that touch and pass it back to him, another option might come on that's a better option. If you just fire it back to him, there's less chance of that happening. So it's just a tiny little thing that doesn't seem important, but if you want to start winning Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues, you need to get all the little things right. How are we doing for time?
7:05 now.
Right, okay, one question then, it's time to go.
I apologise, I'm miles behind with all the questions.
Yeah, got to apologise for that. He's on his own, it's hard work. And obviously, to be honest, I'm talking so much that the questions are going past, but we've got time for one more.
Obviously, the Jack Grealish one's been asked a lot. JD, Rick, did you rate Morgan Schneiderlin? One of my favourite under the radar players, but nobody else seemed to rate him. Was a bit of a Matic before Matic.
Yeah, I rated Morgan Schneiderlin. I thought he was perfectly fine. I remember I've got a favourite moment of Morgan Schneiderlin. I'm pretty sure it was him who Juan Mata played a 1-2 with before he fed Marcus Rashford, and he scored the winner at City when he did he nutmeg that centre back who was getting on a bit, who played for City. What was he called?
Company.
No, years before that, a few years before that, they had a centre back. He was he Italian? I think he was Italian. But anyway, they had a centre. He was right near the end of his career. Demichelis.
Yes.
Yeah, Demichelis. Yeah. When Marcus, I think he nutmegged him and then slotted it under the keeper. And Juan Mata was involved in that goal. And I'm pretty sure the other player who was involved in that goal was Morgan Schneiderlin. I know I always say one instance doesn't matter. I'm just saying that was an incident that I liked, and one incident doesn't make you a good player. Of course it doesn't. But I do think he was okay, Morgan Schneiderlin. Is he still playing? Do you know? Morgan Schneiderlin?
I'm not sure where he's at now, to be honest. I'm not sure.
Don't worry now. Right, we better call it a day.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed that show. Let's hope United get through. Let's hope there's fans at Wembley in May, and let's hope United are there. We've got to start by winning tonight. I'm going to say that on Twitter in a minute. So if you've enjoyed that show, please tell all your friends. Please subscribe. If you didn't enjoy it, don't tell anybody. Keep stum.